Welcome to Magnet Marketers, our weekly live show where we break down the head, heart, and hand approach to building sustainable growth in your business. During each episode, we share actual client marketing best practice examples, strategies, and tactics that will help you generate real results. Our belief? A magnet always works better than being a bullhorn to attract, retain, and build your brand. Ready to dive into this week's Relationship Marketing Training Tuesday? Well, let's get started. Here's your host, Mike Gingerich and Jessika Phillips. Yay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week at Training Tuesday Live for Magnet Marketers. Our goal is always to help you become a magnet versus a bullhorn with your marketing. And today, super excited to have our special guest, Tim, talking about the power of your personal content on social media and how it can help you get that engagement that we all need for our brands. But before we dive into introducing Tim, hello to all of you. Let us know where you're joining in from. And if we've not met before, my name is Jessika Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the Relationship Marketing System. My personal mission is to help you love more, give more, and be more through the art of authentic relating. And my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingerich. He's the president of a web development and software firm, Digital Hill Multimedia. He's a published author 5 times over, triathlete, runner, biker, and leading business blogger at MikeGingerich.com. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well, Jessica, and excited to be here today. Excited to have a special guest with us. Excited you're doing well. So overall, just excited. All right. So I want to introduce our special guest with us today. We have Tim Sohn with us today. Tim is the founder and CEO of Sone Social Media Solutions outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania, where he does memorable live shows and virtual events and produces them so you can focus on showing up and having amazing conversations. He believes strongly that live streaming is all about building relationships. That's why he's here. Impact and community. He also is a 15-year cancer survivor and just found out in December that he is cancer-free. Everybody, let's get it. Cheers. Yes. There it is.
Thanks.
Tim believes it is important to share your personal story on social media so to become more relatable. You can inspire others and grow your business. He's also the co-host of the Tim and Jim Show, along with Jim Fuse, and the main host of Showing Up, Perspectives on Cancer, along with his bestie, Kara, co-host and producer. Tim is also a husband to Joy, dad to Megan and Caitlin. Welcome again, Tim.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you, Mike and Jessica, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We love having you here, whether it's in the comments, when you're joining along, you always give us a smile and a laugh, giving the shout outs to people. So we're excited to shout you out today and shine the light on you as well, because I think you do a beautiful job on showing up, being you, building relationships online. It's something we're all about, and helping other brands do the same. So I know we were talking before we got started here about just the power that personal content has and what brands should know about that and how it looks today, right? Like your bio, you're telling more about yourself, right? That is not surface level stuff, right? You could share all your accolades, but you're like, here's a little bit more about me to kind of keep it, not surface level, where we really get to the heart of knowing each other. So that's personal content. Not everybody's comfortable with it, but I want to hear from you what you feel the power of personal content is and why it's important for brands.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks again for having me, Jessica. And so one thing I wanted to share was in June, I started sharing my story of living with leukemia for 15 years. In December, it was 15 years. And like I said, it was just in December, I found out I was cancer-free. And so one thing that I had done was I had posted, after I started sharing my story on LinkedIn, that I was a cancer survivor.
Mm-hmm.
So cancer survivors started reaching out to me, and I started connecting with other cancer survivors. And this is one of the things about personal content, is that even as a business owner, yes, you want to put out your content about your live streaming tips or, whatever that value is. And, but what content can you create that connects you with other people on a personal level? So whether it's cancer, it doesn't have to be cancer. It took me 15 years to share my cancer story. Okay. But just that idea of connecting with people on the human level is so important to build trust with other people and get to know people just on that level before even trying to sell to anyone or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think that personal, relatable story. I mean, it kind of it can set the tone, and it can kind of quickly. I think we kind of talked about that, but improve the depth of a conversation, or take down even some nerves, or potential kind of um, apprehensions that were there.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
people were reaching out to you, like, on LinkedIn after you shared your story, right? And
Yes.
whether that's just because now you're relatable, right?
Right.
One, to them, and
Yes.
you are now have a stronger bond than if it's just like, "Hey, I have these live streaming tips," right? That's one of many people that have many live streaming tips, but how are you
Exactly.
going to connect on a meaningful level? So I'm loving that, and that you shared that. Chad says he's
Hey,
here to
Chad.
tease you and give it right back to you. I think you guys like good looking comments. He says, as much as Tim goes out into the woods, you'd think he'd have more of a tan, but he knows you go out into the woods because that's something that you're also sharing online, right?
That's true. I share, before I was sharing about leukemia, I often take pictures, especially since COVID. When COVID started, I was taking walks every single morning before my wife and the girls got up. So I would take pictures of the Delaware River and post it on social media. And that's another example of personal content that people would notice and they would mention, and they would talk about that they also enjoy nature, that they go to waterfalls or rivers, or they go for walks, that they were looking for some sort of peace while all the craziness was going on.
Yeah.
Like Madeline Sklar, like every time I think of her, it's walking her dog, right? And she's talking and taking you along for that walk with her, right? And it's just part of the routine even. That can, like, I love that you just shared about going out, and taking walks, and you're inviting people in. That's still personal content. It doesn't have to be, hopefully for not many people, hopefully they don't have that cancer story, right? Like it doesn't have to be that tragedy, but it does have to be relatable and personal, for you to be human versus maybe just behind the green screen with all the logos and the branding and all that going on, but inviting people in for a moment.
Right. But the reality is that, right, hopefully not that many people have cancer, but so many people are touched by cancer in some way, whether they're
Sure.
a survivor or a family member has a survivor that's in their family, or a family member has passed, and thank you so much, everyone who's here. I see Kara, the co-host of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, and my bestie is here. Hey, Kara, and everyone who's here. But that is a reality, and that's what we're finding out through the show that we created together, is that so many people are touched in some way by cancer.
Yeah, and just I think the journey of that then, and so there's so many pieces that people can relate to. If it's treatments, medical appointments, it's all of that piece that whether they're it was for them, it was a friend, a relative, themselves, or some part of that, and so then that um, can connect, but it really brings that. I just thought of Brian Kramer there, but the human element, just
Yeah.
that we are human. There's not robots, not machines, and so that brings a softness, a softening to the conversation. There you go. What's Joe got to say? My personal posts get much more engagement than the ones that are business related. Yes, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, because behind every business are people, right? But I like that you were also vulnerable and just shared it took you 15 years to share that story, right?
It did.
And so for many brands, I feel that that's sometimes the hiccup of how do we transition a little bit to allowing if we're like an organization, right? Or if you're a personal brand, of course, it's a little bit easier. But if you're an organization, like how do you make that pivot to invite in or find those personal stories to share?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And maybe a starting place is maybe like come up with different kinds of topics, or like, things that a brand would be comfortable with. Like maybe somebody from the organization went to a sports game over the weekend. I don't know. And right, because sports is something people can relate to. Or maybe somebody went out for a cup of coffee at the local coffee shop, and something transpired there and there was a story behind it. Maybe that could be a post.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just, that what you said just spurred a memory from last night, in fact. So I was watching someone live, and um, their topic was completely unrelated to this, but they mentioned that they were in mourning because their Patriots lost on Sunday, in the playoff games, right? And so they mentioned that, and they said also, sorry to all you Pennsylvanians with both teams losing, da da da, yeah, that type of thing. But what that did was I immediately connected with the guy, because he's like, okay, football fan, okay, teams lost, okay, so I was more in tune to listen to him of what he said. Totally different topic, by the way, just
Right.
because he tossed in that little relatable connecting story piece, and it identified with me.
Right.
And
Awesome.
even shining the light on others, right? Like I know all of us were talking about, battles with COVID and getting over being sick and who was sick and all that. And I had some,
There we go.
beautiful friends that were, Mike, you included, that sent some flowers and cards and well wishes to me that I just wanted to say thank you to, right? So, and it is shining the light on others, but that still opened up the conversation for more people that could relate, right? To just people doing kind things. And in reminding them of the power of just checking in on others, right? Because I didn't post that I had COVID online, but it shared, between the conversations. That then, when it happened, then more people are now, I think, looking at what's a way that I can reach out and check in on people, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. And another example of a story is I was just taking a walk before this live stream show.
Okay.
And I went down by the river, and I was just planning on walking by myself, and this guy approached me and he said, "Tim," and I said, "Yes." He didn't look familiar to me. And he told me his name, and I was like, and then I remembered who he was, and I hadn't seen him since before all of this is going on. And it looked like he was walking, and I was like, are you walking in that direction? Do you want to walk together? And like, there's another example. Like, so many people are yearning for connection right now. And right, like there's another example of a story. Like, think of stories like when you're out and about, that would relate to people.
Yeah, Chad says, wait, stories connect people?
Right.
That was on
Chad, I'm
last
shocked
week.
you said that.
Last week's guest, right?
Yeah. So I love that the stories and the theme is
Yeah.
kind of playing off one another, and how powerful it really is. And I love that you shared that too. And it could be just even hobbies. Like you mentioned sports, Mike. I was talking with someone the other day, and, shared that I write poetry, and that's been like my outlet, like rediscovering that during COVID. And they're like, oh my gosh, you need to share these things. And I'm like, oh, still in myself loving connecting with people and being, building relationships. But some of those things that are personal are sometimes harder to share. But I found that the times I feel the most vulnerable and share something about myself are those posts, as Joe said, that do get the most engagement. It's not that you're doing it from that place, but it is a level of letting people in, being vulnerable, and people crave that though. And I don't know why I still like that many people have still this guard up, of letting people in a little. Even though we know that when I look at somebody else's post, that when I see that, I read that, I do feel more connected to them. So it's almost like this mindset shift of thinking of who do you connect with the most? What kinds of things do you relate to? And how can you use maybe the stories that you have, like with yourself or with your team, and tie in some of those personal elements? Do you find that there's like ways that you help clients do that, or others do find that comfort level at all?
Yeah, definitely. There was a story that I shared a few months ago in a workshop that I did with Nancy Barrows, who created the Radiating Real movement. And I have a sister who passed away when she was 7. Her name's Mary. And I have a daughter named Caitlin, and she is 7 now, and her middle name is Mary, because they share the same birthday.
Oh.
So I shared this in a workshop with Nancy Barrows. And somebody messaged me afterwards and said, my dad died on October 13th. So I will never forget this workshop.
Oh.
Right. So there's another example of like a story of like coincidences, or whether you believe in no coincidences, right? Stories like that just like they're heartfelt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That those are the stories people are going to remember.
Yeah. So true. And I love that. Absolutely. It takes practice to be vulnerable. Nancy says, no one wants to share tender wounds. And I feel like that's it. But I've also found by being more vulnerable, like you're able to share more. Like I just am in all of you, Tim, of, the courage of all the things you've already shared here. First of all, thank you for letting us in and trusting us, and for being personal and being real. It makes me feel more connected to you. I'm sure everyone else as well. And I feel that one thing I have learned since sharing and being a little bit more vulnerable is that muscle strengthens a little bit, but also something else beautiful happens is that it draws in closer the right people and almost repels the wrong people, which is a good thing in both the cases.
Yeah, I have found the same thing, and I've shared my cancer journey and the story I told you about my sister and my daughter, and many Radiating Real posts, especially on LinkedIn. And I found LinkedIn to be such a supportive, uplifting, encouraging community. I've received so many beautiful comments and direct messages and audio messages and video messages, and just people who have wanted to get on calls. And I never expected on LinkedIn to be sharing a cancer journey. And Kara shared her cancer journey on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer for the first time. And her mom passed away of cancer 7 years ago. Her anniversary was just the other day. Sending you lots of love, bestie. And it's just so, like, to be able to create a safe space on a live stream show is just such an honor, such a, that people would show up, because people also share their perspectives on cancer in the comments of the show and their connection to it. Right. And I just think that's super powerful. And LinkedIn has just been, at least my experience, and the people that have connected with me and that I've connected with and that have engaged have been so supportive.
Okay. And it's kind of interesting in a way that that's like a very intimate topic, intimate conversation for, seems like LinkedIn, right? Which people can say, the business oriented social network kind of thing, where, so that's just an interesting observation there, that's been a spot where you've had that kind of depth of experience.
And you're going to stand out a lot against the grain, right? Like I much rather see that than another post of just the blog link, or somebody just trying to DM me, instantly to try to sell me something or whatever. Kara says, yes, such a powerful statement. The more true you are to yourself, the most aligned people lock into your life. That's a powerful, I like that, lock into your life. Where that's why we call the show Magnet Marketers, like wanting the right people to stick with you longer, right? Yes. And the least aligned back away. Yeah. Yes. I love that, Kara. Thank you.
So I have to ask then, tell me again, just so the audience knows, when this show that you do with Kara is. Is that
Sure.
currently weekly?
It is. It's weekly. It's Tuesdays. So tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time on my LinkedIn profile. Yeah.
We'll make sure to
Got
get the
it.
LinkedIn profile in the comments here. Also, if you're enjoying what Tim is talking about, and we can bring in some personal story examples from both, from different brands, type the word recap in the comments here, and it will automatically sign you up to get a recap of this blog in the inbox, conveniently delivered right to you. So you can get the show notes, connection to Tim, and a double dose of Tim today if you'd like to watch his show. And also sounds like one that I'll definitely be tuning into as well, because you're right, everyone is affected by cancer in some way, one, but two, just what a beautiful example that you can see and witness of people just being open and letting others in, right? I think more than ever we crave that right now. We need that in our world, and to see more humanity and just overall caring for each other, checking in on one another, right? And letting people know that they're safe to share their stories.
Yeah, definitely. And so many people tune in every week and just shower our guests with love and prayers and care. And it's just, we're blessed that they do that.
See, and they're doing that via comments, right?
Yeah, in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a powerful kind of way. I mean, with live streaming, you think, okay, it's maybe more so you and a guest, and you're sharing that type of thing. So that's, your voice is going out, but then there's that depth of connection that can happen right there in the comments.
Right.
And even then that keeps going, right? That can be afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. And we encourage people who are tuning in to share their connection to cancer. And they often do.
One thing I love that we haven't heard is like, how do you sell? Right? Like some people think that's where they think marketing, doing live, whatever, you have to somehow have this ROI attached to it. And I love that Chad shared last week. He said, I measure the ROI in smiles, because making people feel good is good business, right? And the people that are
Right.
going to be loyal to you are ones that feel something and are connected to you on a real level. It's been proven again and again and again. You don't have to have a show that's selling something or that has to have this hard ROI to it in order to consider it positive for your business. Being a good human is is good ROI. Now, granted, you got to be wise with your time, but if it's something you're passionate about and it shows who you are and lets people in and you're building relationships, that's going to be they're going to remember you, they're going to refer you, they're going to stick with you. And that's something that is, always a positive ROI.
Oh, definitely. And one thing that I do, Jessika, is that after the Showing Up show and other shows that I'm involved in, is I'll send direct messages to sometimes all the people that tune in, all the people that comment, a personal, sometimes an audio message, depending how much time I have, just saying thank you. Maybe starting a little conversation, maybe if they shared a certain perspective in the comments, starting a little conversation. But those are the people that are going to come back time and time again and remember you. And maybe some of those people will become I'm not necessarily talking about Showing Up perspectives on cancer, but just in general for brands on live stream shows, it's all about building those relationships afterwards.
Yeah, because what did Mike say that he did before you came on here? He was Googling you, looking at your shows you've done, and that's what clients do. We say 60% of the sales cycle is over before somebody's like speaking to a person at a business, and 90% of all buying decisions start online. What people are doing is researching to see who are they working with. One of our top visited pages on our website is our Meet the Team page. And then we can see before a prospect works with us that they're looking at our LinkedIn. They're going and they're doing the digging to see who am I hiring at the end of the day. And when they can really see that, the personality, the true person, the substance of a person, of who they're working with, that's going to be a deciding factor versus just you know, Julia calls it the highlight reel, right? Of just surface level crap. So yeah, I just love that your perspective on this. You can feel the energy and your passion, and that you show up for others too. Like you said, you're saying thank you. You're showing up for them too, and not just, you know, expecting people to come to you. So I love it, Tim, and I can't believe our time flies so fast on here. So I want to, you know, ask you any finishing thoughts first of all on just sharing personal stories, anything that you think people should know.
I mean, the most important part is showing up. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about writing out a script ahead of time. You know, showing up. And I know you probably hear time and time again people say, just show up, right? And then you're about to show up and you're like so nervous, right? But maybe one tip is if you're going to go live and maybe it's your first time, you know, maybe there's 2 or 3 people, maybe they're friends or family, send them the link to the show that where you're going to be broadcasting. I don't even like the word broadcasting, having the conversation on, and have them show up for you. Because I always feel better when other people show up for me, as opposed to just having that 0, right, when you're there. But if people are showing up for you and they're engaging in the conversation also, I just feel like I always feel so much better. There's been days where I don't want to go live, right? I had a crappy day. Something bad happened. You've had it, right, Jessika? I could see it in your face.
Like last week.
Yeah. But then when you see people are showing up for you, people that care for you, people that show up for you time and again, you're like, it just makes it so worth it, right?
You can feel the energy. You could feel the love here for you today. People are saying this, you know, in the comments. You can feel it. You can tell when people are showing up for you, and they can feel it back, right? So even if you go on, sometimes I would just say, "Hey guys, I'm nervous," or "I'm not feeling it today," right? Like because as you said, it's relatable. That's another thing that's relatable. Just let people know, like, hey,
that's so true.
It's one of those days, right? Beautiful message and beautiful example that you lead and live by. So
Yes,
I
thank
appreciate you
you.
sharing that. If people want to learn more about you, Tim, or connect with you, what's the best place for them to find you online?
Really, the best place is LinkedIn. So just search for Tim Sohn on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's really the best place. I'm on all the other socials too, but LinkedIn's the best.
Got it.
People say you're amazing. You're awesome.
Thank you,
And
Lisa.
definitely good.
Yes,
Yeah.
having cheerleaders in your corner is amazing. It's so true. It just makes it so much better when you show up and there's people in your corner.
Absolutely. And with saying that, I'm so thankful for all of you showing up and being cheerleaders here for the show. We see the same names many times week after week, and it builds a strong community, not just with us, but with each other in the comments and staying connected. So thank you, Jen and Lisa and Jennifer and Kara and Jacqueline and Julia and Chad, everybody that's been watching in with us here today, and for being our cheerleaders here. So appreciate all of you very, very, very much. Yes, we will be back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Magnet Marketers. Until then, we look forward to seeing all of your personal stories and you just showing up online to build those relationships, that rapport with others by connecting on a real level. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. And thanks again for being here for today. Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
See you, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.